Drill the 1/4 inch vent holes as per the construction print E20-2000. In between the vent holes, drill 2 1/8 inch holes for number 8 by 3/4 inch long sheet metal screws if needed for dynamic balancing. Drill holes for the wood screws that hold the wood plug in the tip end of the blade. Use a number 47 drill for the pilot hole and a number 32 drill for the shoulder of the screw. Use a 1/4 inch bolt in the vent hole to help remove the end plug easily. Note, do not glue the end plug in place until after the rotor system is balanced. Cut the tip weight material in half and drill the 2 1/4 inch holes as shown in the construction print E20-2000. Locate and drill one attachment hole in the bottom side of the spar. Note, the hole should be drilled at an angle to allow the head of the bolts to match the shape of the airfoil. Install a bolt in the hole, then use the tip weight as a template to drill the other hole. Note, the rivet tails extending inside the blade where the tip weight is located can be removed to allow the weight to sit flush. Cut out and deburr the pitch horns. Fit the pitch horn clevis to the pitch horn. It may be necessary to radius the corner of the pitch horn so there is no gap between them when bolted together. This shows the aligner blocks as received from rotorway. The blocks are marked with a T to indicate the top. The top must be up when the aligner blocks are installed into the blades so that the adjustment bolts will align with the studs in the rotor blade. These are the thrust blocks as received from rotorway. There is a master marked with an M, which goes on the end of the hub marked with an M. The slave is marked with a S. Both blocks have a top side as shown. These are the elastomeric thrust bearings as received from rotorway. Deburr and round the edges of the blade straps. With a wire brush, roughen the surfaces of the straps to be glued so that the glue will adhere. Put the thrust block and the liner block between the retention straps. If you do not have enough 9/16" washers to tighten the 9/16" nut, you can use the pitch horn as shown here on one set of the straps. Place the retention strap assembly on a flat surface. Tighten the 9/16" bolt and the two 5/16" bolts to maintain alignment when mounting the assembly on the rotor blades. Turn the back of the thrust block towards the edge of the strap that has the 3 holes. This will make it possible to measure to the edge of the 9/16" bolt when mounting the assembly to their blades. Before applying the adhesive to the blade straps, check the assembly for fit. Use grease in the corner of the liner block and strap to prevent them from being glued together. Apply a thin layer of glue to the filler block and mating strap surface. Then slide the assembly so that the last bolt hole in the strap is at the end of the blade. Using a clean rag, wipe the excess glue from the end of the blade and strap. To mount the retention straps on the rotor blades in the correct location, do the following. Slide the assembly on far enough to install the 5/16" bolt that is at the end of the strap. Place a straight edge against the leading edge of the blade. Adjust the aligner block bolt to achieve the correct distance between the leading edge of the rotor blade and the center of the 9/16 inch retention bolt. This distance must be 1.985 inches to 1.990 inches. Note the chord line of the rotor blade, the straight edge, and the caliper must all be level when making this check. The distance must be the same on both blades. If this cannot be achieved, contact Rotorway customer service. When you have the correct measurement, hold this position and pass a 5/16 inch reamer or 5/16 inch drill through the remaining holes to ensure an easy bolt fit. Install the 5/16 inch bolts and torque them to 14 foot-pounds. Do not torque the 5/16 inch aligner block bolts at this time. Remove the thrust block and make the following checks. The distance between the two straps must be 2 1/4 inches to 2 3/8 inches. The straps must be straight. The 9/16 inch bolt goes in easy. Normally, only the paint in the holes must be removed to achieve this. Referring to the rotor hub section in the maintenance manual is a good reference to help the new builder pilot understand the rigging of the rotor system. Before mounting the blades to the hub, level the main shaft 90 degrees to the ground both fore and aft and laterally. Shim under the skids as necessary. Verify the hub is shimmed correctly to the shaft. Since your main assembly is new, carefully rock the hub back and forth 15 to 20 times to lubricate the shims, since they probably haven't been moved in some time. Place a spring scale on the outboard pin and pull up or down until the hub plate starts to move. Read the spring scale and note the reading. The hub pressure must be between 8 to 12 pounds. Note, to keep the hub plate moving, it may require more pressure to start the movement. If your reading does not fall within these limits, refer to the maintenance manual on rotor hub shimming. As per the construction print E49-2000, you notice that the hub is centered on the shaft by using stainless steel shims and Delrin shims. Before mounting the main rotor blades, you must verify the hub is centered on the shaft. Refer to the maintenance manual to fabricate this hub fixture to measure the hub to shaft center position. Turn the hub so that the numbers stamped on the hub plate are on the pilot side and the hub is aligned fore and aft to the helicopter. It makes no difference which side of the helicopter the numbers are on, but it is a good practice to establish a normal and routine procedure. Place the fixture on the hub. Push the fixture up against the outboard pitch pins and hold the fixture down on the 3 rivet point contacts located on the bottom. Securely hold the fixture on the hub and rock the hub back and forth until the needle on the dial indicator stops moving in a central position. Then zero the indicator. Carefully remove the fixture and place it on the other side of the hub using the same procedures. Repeat the steps and determine if the hub is off-center. Hub centering must be within 1/1000th total indicator reading. If your total indicator reading is not within tolerance, reference the maintenance manual for the correct procedures to center the hub to the shaft. Set both blades on a table. Now you will be instructed to verify the reflex edge of each rotor blade. Rotorway International has a fixture and instructions for measuring and making adjustments on the trailing edges of the blades to improve blade tracking if your rotor system's tracking changes through increased forward airspeed. However, at this point, the builder only needs to verify that each panel of the blade is adjusted to within 0.002 of each other for its entire length. The parts list for the reflexed edge fixture is as follows. When checking one blade against another, you'll notice a difference in the readings. The airfoils are matched at the factory. Trying to have both blades identical may induce vibrations. Each blade must be adjusted within 0.002 for its entire length. If your readings vary, you'll need to average the readings and adjust accordingly. With the use of vice grip locking sheet metal clamp pliers as shown, the edge can be bent up or down as needed. To avoid damaging the skin surface, glue some rubber strips to the pliers. Before proceeding further, the blades must be painted at this time, otherwise balancing adjustments will not be accurate. Rotorway recommends using a primer that will give you the best results in your environment. Then use a 2-part polyurethane paint. Refer to local aircraft painters or suppliers to find the best materials and preparations that are required. To help with the static balance later, remove 2 of the 3/8" bolts on one of the teeter blocks and replace them with smaller 1/4" bolts, washers, and nuts. Refer to the maintenance manual on rotor hub shimming. Place a C-clamp across the teeter blocks so that the clamp jaws clamp at the base and to the center of the block as shown. Place a 9/16" box end wrench on the 3/8" teeter block bolt head and turn the wrench to feel if the bolt moves easily after tightening the C-clamp. Adjust the clamp as necessary. Place a small amount of grease on the bolt threads and drive the bolts out of the hub plate with a hammer and punch. remove the other 3/8" bolt in the same manner and remove the C-clamp and tighten the bolts. The hub should now teeter freely. Grease the outboard and inboard pitch pins on the hub and install the thrust blocks on the hub without the elastomeric thrust bearings. Make sure to match the block marked M to the master end of the hub and the block marked S to the slave end of the hub. Also, both blocks have a top side. To help in mounting the rotor blades, it is helpful to fabricate this fixture, which clamps around the tail boom at the third bulkhead and supports the end of the blade approximately 30 inches above the top of the tail boom, as shown. With the help of someone, mount the first blade to the rotor hub using the tail boom fixture to support the blade end. Adjust the hub to align the outboard pitch pin with the inner race of the liner block bearing. Slide the blade far enough to install the 9/16" retention bolt and the pitch horn through the straps and thrust block. If the blade does not slide on far enough, verify the teeter stop, which is the lower blade strap, is not pushing against the rubber sleeve. If it is against the rubber sleeve, adjust the tail boom bracket to raise the blade slightly and install the 9/16" bolt. Note, you will be instructed later to shorten the strap. The 9/16" bolt should slide in fairly easy when the blade and hub are in proper alignment. Do not force this bolt in with excessive pressure. Have the person helping you lead or lag the blade slightly to aid with bolt installation. Tighten the nut to snug, and then push outward on the rotor blade straps to seat the thrust block against the thrust washer. Then tighten the bolt. Do not torque this bolt at this time. To mount the other blade, you will need the person who is helping you be in a position to maneuver the blade up and down, and along with lead or lag movements in relation to the rotor hub. The blade must be held in the pre-coned position. A good way to verify the correct angle is to look at the blade straps in relation to the thrust block.